He does not look at her, but she feels the weight of his silence from across the room, a silence that now speaks louder than every lie she was ever told. Elias Vance wipes a line of grease from his knuckle with a clean, red rag. The rag is worn soft from 1,000 similar motions. He folds it into a perfect square and places it on the edge of the workbench. His movements are economical, precise. There is no wasted energy in his world. The smell of solvent and old metal hangs in the air, a scent as familiar to him as his own skin. Outside the wide-open bay door of the workshop, the afternoon sun casts long shadows. It illuminates dust motes dancing in the slanted light. A single gull cries, a lonely sound cutting through the rhythmic tick of a cooling engine block. His daughter, Lily, sits on an overturned wooden crate, her small legs swinging. She is 6 years old. She does not kick the crate, or hum, or fidget. She watches her father with a quiet intensity that mirrors his own. In her lap is a dismantled carburetor, its brass and steel components laid out on a piece of clean burlap. She polishes a small jet with a scrap of felt, her small fingers surprisingly deft. "The float needs to be level, Lilybug," Elias says. His voice is low, a gentle rumble in the cavernous space. He does not look at her when he speaks. He does not need to. "I know, Daddy," she answers, "so the fuel doesn't spill." He nods once. A small smile touches his lips for exactly 2 seconds, then vanishes. This is their language, a language of shared tasks, of quiet understanding, of things that work the way they are supposed to. In a world that often does not, the mechanics of an engine are a comfort. They are honest. The silver sedan that pulls up to the workshop is incongruous. It is too clean, too quiet. It gleams with a factory polish that has never known road, salt, or mud. Elias does not stop what he is doing. He continues to torque the head bolts on a vintage Sterling V8. His movement steady, his focus absolute. He hears the car door open and close, the sound crisp and definitive. He hears the crunch of expensive leather shoes on the gravel drive. He finishes the sequence, his torque wrench clicking softly at each bolt. Only then does he turn. Clara Sterling stands just outside the rectangle of sunlight spilling from the bay door. She is framed by it, a silhouette in a dark, tailored suit. Her hair is pulled back so severely it seems to draw the skin tight at her temples. She holds a thin portfolio in one hand. She looks, he thinks, like an architect's rendering. All sharp lines and calculated angles. Beside her, a man shifts his weight from one foot to the other. Marcus Thorne. His smile is a bright, predatory slash in his tanned face. He exudes an aura of expensive cologne and impatience. Elias feels Lily go still behind him. Her small hand stops its polishing. "Elias Vance," Clara says. It is not a question. Her voice is as cool and polished as her car. She steps into the workshop, her eyes sweeping over the organized chaos of tools, engine hoists, and metal lathes. Her gaze lingers for a moment on the massive, half-restored marine diesel engine suspended in the center of the room. A Sterling Titan, her father's masterpiece. Elias gives a slow, deliberate nod. He does not offer his hand. It is covered in grease. He does not apologize for it. "I am Clara Sterling," she continues, as if he does not know. Her father, Arthur Sterling, had been a frequent visitor to this workshop. He and Elias had shared more than just a professional respect. They had shared coffee from chipped mugs and spoken a common language of horsepower and compression ratios. But Arthur is gone now, 3 months gone. And this woman, his daughter, is a stranger. "I know who you are," Elias says. The words are flat. They carry no warmth, no welcome. Marcus Thorne steps forward, his smile widening. "Clara is the new CEO of Sterling Marine, Elias. She's making some changes. Streamlining." Elias's eyes stay on Clara. He does not acknowledge Marcus. He has known Marcus for 10 years. He has never trusted him. "Your contract with Sterling Marine is being terminated," Clara says. She says it directly, without preamble. Her gaze is unwavering. She is performing a task. An unpleasant one perhaps, but a necessary one. A line item on a long list. Effective immediately. The silence in the workshop deepens. The ticking of the cooling engine seems to grow louder, each tick a small hammer blow against the quiet. Lily remains perfectly still on her crate. Elias does not flinch. He does not demand an explanation. He does not protest. His expression remains unchanged, a mask of calm neutrality. He simply watches Clara Sterling, his gray eyes steady. He waits. The company is moving in a new direction. Marcus supplies, filling the void. "We're outsourcing our legacy restoration work. It's more cost-effective," the board agrees. Clara opens the portfolio. She produces a single sheet of paper and a pen. This is a final payment for services rendered, prorated for the month. And a non-disclosure agreement. Standard procedure. She holds them out to him. Elias looks from the papers to her face. He sees the tension in her jaw, the slight, almost imperceptible tremor in the hand holding the pen. She is not as calm as she pretends. This observation is filed away without comment. He takes the pen. He does not take the paper. He uses the scarred surface of the workbench to sign his name on the line she indicates. His signature is clean, legible. He caps the pen and hands it back to her. He does not take the check. "You can mail it," he says. He turns his back on them. He picks up the red rag, unfolds it, and wipes a non-existent smudge from a valve cover. The gesture is deliberate. It is a dismissal. He hears Clara's sharp intake of breath. He hears Marcus chuckle, a low, satisfied sound. "Well," Marcus says, his voice dripping with false bonhomie, "that was easy enough. Thank you for your service, Elias." Elias does not respond. He can feel their eyes on his back. He focuses on the gleam of the chrome, on the precise fit of the gasket beneath it. He feels a small hand slip into his Lily is beside him now, pressing against his leg. He places his free hand on her head, his fingers sinking into her soft brown hair. He hears the crunch of their shoes on the gravel as they walk away. He hears the solid, expensive thud of their car doors closing. The quiet hum of the engine as it starts. And then, the sound of the tires receding down the long drive until there is only silence again. The ticking of the cooling engine has stopped. For a long count, he does not move. He stands with his hand on his daughter's head, looking at the engine his friend built. "Why were they mean, Daddy?" Lily's voice is a small whisper. Elias finally turns, crouching down so he is level with her. He looks into her serious, questioning eyes. "They're just doing their job," he says. "It is not the whole truth, but it is the only truth she needs right now." He does not tell her that Marcus Thorne has wanted him gone for years. He does not tell her that Arthur Sterling was the only thing protecting him. He does not tell her that the check they offered was an insult, a fraction of what he is owed. He does not say any of this. He simply picks up the small carburetor jet she was polishing. He holds it up to the light. "You did a good job on this," he says. "Let's finish it." Clara Sterling drives. The leather of the steering wheel is cool and smooth beneath her hands. She does not let Marcus drive her car. She never does. The silence inside the cabin is thick with unspoken things. She glances at him. He is looking out the window, a smug, self-satisfied smile playing on his lips. He thinks he has won. He thinks this was his victory. "He took that well," Marcus says finally. "He didn't take it at all," Clara corrects him. Her voice is clipped. "He didn't react. There is a difference." Semantics. The point is, he's gone. We can finally move forward with the Meridian project without him whispering in your father's ear about integrity and heritage. He says the words as if they are profanities. Clara does not respond. She focuses on the road. The image of Elias Vance is burned into her mind. The quiet set of his shoulders, the grease under his fingernails, the way he stood unbowed and simply turned his back on them. It was not the reaction of a disgruntled employee. It was the reaction of a king being told his services are no longer required by a lesser court. And the child, the little girl on the crate, watching everything with those solemn old eyes. She did not cry. She did not speak. She simply went to her father. My father trusted him, Clara says. More to herself than to Marcus. Your father was sentimental. Marcus replies smoothly. It was his one weakness. He saw that man as a son, almost. Let him get away with murder. Vance charged us a fortune for that workshop of his, billed us for every last custom-made nut and bolt. It was a drain. You saw the numbers. She did see the numbers. Marcus had presented them to her in a series of neat, undeniable charts and graphs. A sea of red ink, all traced back to Elias Vance's artisan projects. It was logical. It was efficient. It was the correct business decision. So why does it feel so wrong? She replays the scene. The way he signed the paper without reading it. The way he refused the check. The finality of him turning his back. He was not defeated. He was disappointed. That is the word. He was disappointed in her. The thought is a splinter under her skin. Why should she care what a disgruntled mechanic thinks of her? She is the CEO. She made a decision based on the data provided by her COO. It is done. She grips the steering wheel tighter. It is done. 3 days later, the rain comes. It starts as a fine mist and builds into a relentless, driving downpour. The sky is the color of wet slate. Water streams down the plate glass windows of Clara's corner office, blurring the city skyline into a wash of gray and neon. The office is her father's. His scent still lingers in the leather of the chair and the wood of the massive desk, a faint mix of pipe tobacco and peppermint. She has changed nothing. It feels like a mausoleum. She stares at a projection on the wall, a 3D model of the new Meridian engine. It is sleek, efficient, and composed mostly of carbon fiber and injection-molded polymers. It is Marcus Thorne's pet project. He claims it will revolutionize the industry and make sterling marine billions. Her father had hated it. It has no soul, Clara, he had said one evening, months before he died. An engine should have a soul. She had dismissed it as the ramblings of an old man, a genius who was failing to keep up with the times. Now his words echo in the sterile quiet of the room. Her phone buzzes. It is her assistant. Mr. Thorne is here to see you. Send him in. Marcus enters, radiating energy. He is holding a tablet. Good news! The prototype for the Meridian is ready for its initial sea trial. I've scheduled it for tomorrow morning, weather permitting. The forecast is for this storm to continue for another 48 hours, she says, her voice flat. A little rain won't hurt it, Marcus says with a dismissive wave. This engine is a game changer. We need to get it in front of the board, show them the future. Clara looks at the rendering. She sees complex fuel injectors, layered composites, a labyrinth of wiring. She does not see a soul. She sees something brittle. What about the Titan? She asks, changing the subject. Marcus frowns. The Titan is the massive diesel engine she saw in Elias Vance's workshop. Her father's last, and he claimed, greatest design. It was 90% complete when he died. What about it? Marcus asks. It's a relic, a monument to your father's genius, of course, but commercially unviable. It's too heavy, too expensive to build. We'll donate it to a maritime museum, a nice tax write-off. My father said it was the most efficient engine he ever designed, Clara counters. He said it would run for 100 years on a single overhaul. He was romanticizing, Marcus says, his tone soothing, patronizing. Arthur was a brilliant artist, but I'm the pragmatist. This company needs profits, not poetry. The Meridian is the future, trust me. She looks at his smiling, confident face. She trusted him 3 days ago. Today, she is not so sure. The memory of Elias Vance's quiet dignity stands in stark contrast to Marcus's slick certainty. Fine, she says. Schedule the seed trial. He beams. You won't regret this, Clara. As he leaves, she feels a chill that has nothing to do with the storm outside. She turns back to the window, watching the rain wash over the city. She feels adrift. The sea trial is a disaster. Clara stands on the deck of the test vessel, the wind whipping her hair across her face, cold rain soaking through her expensive waterproof jacket. The boat pitches and rolls in the heavy gray swells of the Sound. Marcus is beside her, his face pale, his usual confidence gone. The Meridian engine had started perfectly at the dock. It hummed with a quiet electric whir. But out here, in the chop, it is failing. Alarms are screaming from the cockpit. A noxious smell of burning plastic fills the air. "What is it?" she yells over the shriek of the wind. "A harmonic resonance issue." The chief engineer shouts back, his face streaked with grease. The vibration from the waves is throwing the injectors out of sequence. The composite housing is starting to fracture. "Shut it down," Marcus orders, his voice tight with panic. The engine sputters, coughs a plume of black smoke, and dies. And they are dead in the water. The boat wallows in the troughs of the waves, its anchor useless in this depth. The storm is worsening. The Coast Guard has been called, but their response time is over an hour. Clara is not frightened. She is furious. She is cold, wet, and furious. She looks at Marcus, who refuses to meet her eye. He stares at the failing engine as if he can intimidate it back to life. "This engine was not ready," she says. Her voice is low and dangerous. "It was a fluke, an unforeseen variable," he sputters. "The simulation models didn't predict this." "My father would have," she says. And the words are true. He would have known. He would have felt it in his bones. He understood that the sea is not a simulation. It is a living, breathing thing, and it finds every weakness. An hour later, as the Coast Guard cutter finally appears on the horizon, a second boat comes into view. An old, sturdy-looking workboat, its hull painted a faded sea green. It cuts through the chop with a steady, powerful rhythm, throwing spray from its bow. It seems completely untroubled by the storm. As it draws nearer, she can hear the deep, throaty rumble of its engine. It is a sound that speaks of power, of reliability, of soul. The boat pulls alongside, and a man in oilskin overalls steps out of the wheelhouse. He moves with an easy, balanced grace on the pitching deck. It is Elias Vance. He does not look at her. He secures a line to their vessel, his movements quick and sure. He says something to the Coast Guard captain on the radio, then turns his attention to their dead boat. Lily is in the wheelhouse. Clara can see her small face peering out the window, her expression serious. Elias climbs aboard their boat. He walks past Clara and Marcus without a glance and heads straight for the engine compartment. The chief engineer, a man twice his age, steps aside with a look of profound relief. Clara follows him. She stands in the hatchway, watching. The smell of burnt plastic is overwhelming. Elias moves through the cramped space with an unhurried confidence. His hands, large and calloused, hover over the dead engine. He does not touch it. He looks and he listens to the groaning of the boat and the slap of the water against the hull. "The motor mounts," he says, his voice cutting through the noise. "They're too rigid. They're transferring the whole vibration directly to the injector housing." He points to a series of hairline cracks in the composite block. "It's tearing itself apart." He looks up then, and his eyes meet Clara's. They are full of a weary, resigned disappointment. He had known this would happen. He had probably known it from the moment he saw the designs. He does not say, "I told you so." He does not have to. He says nothing at all. He simply turns back to the engine, as if it is a problem to be solved, not a failure to be condemned. The tow back to the marina is long and silent. Elias's workboat pulls them steadily through the storm, its old diesel engine never missing a beat. Clara stays on deck, the cold rain on her face a welcome distraction. She watches his boat. She watches him at the helm, a solid, unmovable figure against the raging sea. When they are finally tied up at the dock, he unhooks the tow line and prepares to leave. Clara walks over to the edge of the pier. "Wait," she says. He stops, his hand on a cleat. He turns his head slightly. "Thank you," she says. The words feel inadequate. He gives a short, sharp nod. It is an acknowledgement, not an acceptance. "How did you know we were in trouble?" she asks. "I listened to the marine radio," he says, "and I know that engine isn't made for this kind of weather." He looks out at the gray water. "Your father knew it too." Before she can say anything else, he steps back into his wheelhouse. Lily waves a small, hesitant hand at her from the window. Clara, surprised, raises a hand and waves back. The workboat's engine rumbles to life, and it pulls away from the dock, disappearing into the gray curtain of rain. Clara stands alone on the pier for a long time, the name of her company, her legacy, mocking her in bright blue letters on the side of the building. Sterling Marine. It feels like a lie. The next morning the rain has stopped. A watery sun attempts to break through the clouds. Clara does not go to her office. She drives out of the city, along the winding coastal road. She finds herself parked at the end of the long gravel drive leading to Elias Vance's workshop. She sits in her car for 20 minutes, the engine off. She watches the gull circle overhead. What is she doing here? To apologize? To offer him his job back? To ask him for help? She does not know. The certainty she has worn like armor, her entire adult life, has been stripped away, leaving her exposed and unsure. She gets out of the car. The bay door to the workshop is open. The sound of a metal lathe whirring fills the air. She walks toward the light. Elias is there, his back to her, leaning over the lathe. He is shaping a piece of steel, shavings curling away like silver ribbons. Lily is at the workbench, carefully cleaning a set of spark plugs with a wire brush. She sees Clara first. The little girl does not smile, but she does not look away. She simply watches Clara approach. Elias senses her presence. He finishes his pass with the lathe, kills the power, and turns. His face is impassive. He waits. Clara starts, but the words fail her. The Meridian engine is a failure. He finishes for her. It is a statement of fact delivered without malice. It was designed on a computer, not in the water. It has no tolerance for reality. My father. He tried to tell me. Arthur knew the difference between a blueprint and a boat, Elias says. He picks up the piece of steel he was working on. It is a custom-made valve stem, perfectly machined. Some things you can't simulate. I want to see the Titan, Clara says. The words coming out in a rush. I want you to show me. Elias studies her face for a long count. He seems to be searching for something. Honesty, perhaps, or humility. Whatever he is looking for, he appears to find it. He nods toward the center of the workshop, where the massive engine hangs in its cradle. For the next hour, he walks her through it. He speaks of metallurgy, of fluid dynamics, of stress tolerances. His voice, which she had thought was flat and emotionless, comes alive. He speaks with a quiet passion that is more compelling than any sales pitch she has ever heard. He explains how her father designed a revolutionary cooling system how the crankshaft was forged from a single billet of proprietary alloy, how every component was designed to work in perfect, brutal harmony. He is not just a mechanic. He is a translator. He is translating her father's genius for her. Marcus said it was too expensive, she says, running a hand over the cool caster and engine block. It feels solid, real. It's expensive to build one, Elias says. It would be cheap to build 1,000. The tooling is the cost. Your father was playing the long game. This engine would have put Sterling Marine a decade ahead of everyone else. It would have been his legacy. Why didn't you tell me this when I came here? She asks, her voice low. Why did you let me fire you? Elias stops. He turns to face her fully. His gray eyes are direct, and for the first time she sees not disappointment, but a deep, profound sadness. Because you came here with his COO, he says. You came here with a man who has spent the last 5 years trying to sabotage your father's work. You came here believing his spreadsheets instead of your own blood. Telling you the truth would have been pointless. You aren't ready to hear it. The bluntness of the word strikes her like a physical blow. He is right. She wasn't. And you didn't defend yourself, she whispers. There was nothing to defend, he says simply. The work speaks for itself. It always does. At that moment, Lily approaches. She holds something out to Clara. It is a small, polished brass jet from a carburetor. It gleams in the light. It's clean now, the little girl says. Clara looks from the small, perfect object to the child's earnest face. She crouches down her knees, protesting in the expensive suit trousers. She takes the small piece of brass. It is surprisingly heavy. It is real. Thank you, Lily, she says, her voice thick. It's beautiful. Lily gives a small, shy smile. It is the first time Clara has seen her smile. It feels like the sun breaking through the clouds. Clara knows what she has to do. The investigation begins quietly. Clara does not confront Marcus. She does the opposite. She praises him for his handling of the sea trial disaster, calling it a valuable stress test. She gives him more rope. She starts digging. She spends her nights in her father's home office, not the corporate one. It is a library filled with books on engineering, history, and philosophy. She is not looking for financial records. She is looking for her father. She finds him in the margins of his books, in scribbled notes and diagrams. She finds him in old design journals, his elegant handwriting detailing his frustrations with the board, with their short-sighted focus on quarterly profits. And one name appears again and again. Marcus Thorne. Marcus sees only the balance sheet, her father had written. He cannot see the horizon. The key comes from an unexpected source. She calls George Peterson, her father's oldest friend and the former head of quality control at the factory, a man Marcus had pushed into early retirement. She meets him at a small, waterfront diner that smells of fried fish and coffee. George is a man in his late 60s, with kind eyes and hands permanently stained with ink and oil. He listens patiently as she explains her suspicions. Arthur saw it coming, George says, stirring his coffee. He knew Marcus was a viper. But he was on the board, had a lot of allies. Arthur couldn't just fire him without a war. What was he doing? Clara asks. Cutting corners, George says. Sourcing cheaper materials from uncertified suppliers. Falsifying test reports. Anything to make the numbers look good for the next quarter. The Meridian engine is his masterpiece of deception. It looks great on paper. In the water, it's a death trap. And Elias Vance? George smiles sadly. Elias was your father's conscience, his touchstone. Arthur would bring him designs, and Elias would find the flaws. Not on a computer, but with his hands. He can feel a bad weld, sense a stress fracture before it happens. He was the only one your father trusted to build the Titan prototype. He knew Elias would do it right, no matter the cost. Marcus said Elias was overcharging the company. Elias never overcharged Arthur for a thing in his life, George scoffs. The opposite. He worked for half what he was worth because he believed in your father. The expenses Marcus showed you, they were for the materials. The best materials. Elias refused to compromise. That's what Marcus couldn't stand. He couldn't bully him. He couldn't buy him. The pieces are falling into place, forming a picture of betrayal that is uglier than she could have imagined. There's one more thing, George says. He leans forward. A few weeks before he died, Arthur got spooked. He said Marcus was getting reckless. He told me he was putting together a file, everything he had on him. He said he locked it away somewhere safe. He called it his insurance policy. A locked file, a safe place. Clara returns to her father's office with a new purpose. She searches for days. She checks his safe, his desk drawers, his filing cabinets. Nothing. She is about to give up when her eyes land on a bookshelf. It is filled with old, leather-bound editions of classic novels. Her father loved to read, but one book seems out of place. It is a thick, technical manual for a Stirling marine engine from the 1952, a model he particularly disliked. She pulls it from the shelf. It is heavier than it should be. The inside has been hollowed out, and nestled within is a slim, leather-bound ledger and a single, sealed envelope. The ledger contains a meticulous record of Marcus Thorne's deceptions. Copies of invoices for substandard parts, cross-referenced with doctored quality control reports, notes on conversations where Marcus advocated for dangerous design changes. It is a damning, irrefutable account of corporate malfeasance, all in her father's precise hand. Her hands are shaking as she opens the envelope. It contains a single sheet of paper. It is not a letter. It is a legal document. It is a revised version of her father's will. It states that upon his death, 49% of his personal shares in Stirling Marine, a controlling interest when combined with her own, are to be transferred not to her, but to a trust. A trust to be administered by Elias Vance for the sole benefit of his daughter, Lily. The document is dated 2 days before his fatal heart attack. It was never filed. He had never had the chance. Clara sinks into her father's chair, the papers spread before her. He had not just trusted Elias with his engines, he had trusted him with his legacy, with his company, with his own daughter's future. He had seen the truth of both men, Marcus and Elias, and had made his choice. And in her grief and ambition, she had walked into that workshop and spat on that trust. She had sided with the viper. The weight of her failure is a physical thing. Pressing down on her chest, she does not call her lawyers. She does not call the board. She picks up her car keys and drives back to the workshop by the sea. She finds him not in the workshop, but outside, skipping stones with Lily on the small pebbled beach behind it. The evening light is gold and soft. He sees her coming, but does not stop. He finds a flat, smooth stone and sends it dancing across the calm water. 6 skips. 7. Lily runs to show her a shell she has found. It is a perfect pearlescent spiral. Clara takes it, her hand closing around its fragile strength. "I found it," Clara says to Elias. Her voice is quiet. "The ledger. And the will." Elias watches another stone skip across the water. He does not seem surprised. "He told me about it," he says, "the day he wrote it. He wasn't well. I told him not to do it. I told him the company belonged to you." "Why?" she asks. "It was your right. He wanted you to have it." To protect it, he finally turns to look at her. The setting sun catches in his gray eyes. "It's not my company, Clara. It's your father's, and now it's yours. I don't want your shares. I don't want a seat on your board. I just want to build good engines." His integrity is so absolute, so simple, it is humbling. He is not a king. He is a guardian. He has been guarding her father's legacy all along, not for personal gain, but for the sake of the work itself. "I was wrong," she says. The two words are the hardest she has ever had to say. "I am so sorry, Elias." He nods, a long, slow acknowledgement of her apology. "He was proud of you," Elias says unexpectedly. "He was worried. You were too much like him, stubborn, idealistic. He was afraid the sharks would eat you alive." "The shark was already in the house," she says bitterly. "You figured it out," he says. "That's what matters." A comfortable silence falls between them, punctuated by the gentle lapping of the waves. Lily comes and takes Clara's hand, her small fingers warm and trusting. The simple gesture of acceptance undoes something deep inside Clara. She feels a stinging in her eyes. "I need your help," she says. "To fix this?" "To save the company." "The Titan," he says. It is not a question. "Yes," she says. "Can we finish it?" Elias looks from her face to the workshop, then back again. He looks at his daughter, who is now holding both their hands, connecting them. "We can," he says. The next 2 weeks are a blur of intense, focused work. They do not work in the main Sterling Marine facility. They work out of Elias's shop. It becomes the new center of the universe. Clara has the Titan engine and all its remaining components moved there under the cover of night. She tells the board she is taking a leave of absence to deal with personal matters. She lets Marcus Thorne believe he is in charge. He becomes cocky, careless. It is exactly what she wants. She and Elias work side by side. She is not a CEO here. She is an apprentice. She cleans parts, fetches tools, and holds the light. She learns the rhythm of the work, the smell of hot metal, the satisfying click of a perfectly seated bearing. She sees the company her father built, not as a set of numbers on a page, but as a living thing, a collection of steel and brass and human ingenuity. Elias is a patient teacher. He explains everything, not just what to do, but why. He shows her the elegance of her father's designs, the hidden genius in a simple gear ratio or the curve of an exhaust manifold. He speaks of her father in the present tense as if he is still there with them, his hands guiding theirs. In the evenings, the three of them, Clara, Elias, and Lily, ate dinner together at the small table in the corner of the workshop. Sometimes Elias cooks simple meals of grilled fish and vegetables. Sometimes Clara brings takeout from the city. They talk about engines, about the sea, about Lily's day at school. They do not talk about Marcus Thorne or the coming storm. They are building more than an engine. They are building an alliance, a quiet, unspoken trust. One evening as Elias expertly fillets a fish, Clara watches his hands. They are strong, scarred, and infinitely gentle. "You know," she says, a teasing note in her voice she hasn't heard in years. "For a man who can rebuild a VIT-12 blindfolded, you're surprisingly good at that. Most engineers I know can barely operate a microwave." Elias does not look up from his work. He slides the perfect fillet into a hot pan where it sizzles. He lets the silence stretch for a moment. "My wife taught me," he says, his voice soft. "She said a man who can't feed his family isn't a man, no matter how clever his hands are." The unexpected intimacy of the reply stills the air. It is not a flirtatious comeback. It is a statement of principle, a window into the core of who he is. He is a man who honors his promises, a man who tends to what is important. Clara feels her cheeks flush, not with embarrassment, but with a deep, aching respect. She has said something light and trivial, and he has answered with something profound and true. He has not spoken of his wife before. Clara understands this is a gift, a small piece of his carefully guarded heart. "She sounds like she was a wonderful woman," Clara says quietly. "She was," Elias says. He plates the fish and sets it on the table. She was the best engine I ever knew. The day of the board meeting arrives. It is a clear, bright morning. The Titan engine, fully assembled and mounted on a test stand, gleams in the workshop. It is a masterpiece of mechanical engineering. It is beautiful. Clara stands before her reflection in the small workshop bathroom. She is not wearing a suit. She is wearing simple black trousers, a white shirt, and a worn leather jacket of her father's that Elias found in a locker. It smells faintly of oil and tobacco. It feels like armor. Elias does not come with her to the city. Not at first. He will follow later. This is her fight. She walks into the boardroom at Sterling Marine headquarters at exactly 10 o'clock. The long mahogany table is lined with the faces of the board members, all men, all in expensive suits. Marcus Thorne sits at the head of the table in her father's chair. In her chair, he looks surprised to see her, but he recovers quickly, his smile slick and confident. "Clara," he says, standing. "What a surprise! We weren't expecting you." "I'm sure you weren't," she says. Her voice is calm, even. She does not take a seat. She walks to the front of the room, to the large presentation screen. She carries a single slim folder. "I've called this emergency meeting to discuss the future of the company," she says. "Mr. Thorne has been advocating for us to move forward with his Meridian project. He has assured you all that it is the most profitable path forward." Marcus nods, beaming. "The projections are undeniable." "They are," Clara agrees. "They are also fraudulent." A murmur runs through the room. Marcus's smile falters. She opens the folder. She does not present spreadsheets or charts. She places a single fractured piece of composite material on the table. It is a piece of the Meridian's engine block from the failed sea trial. "This is the future Mr. Thorne is selling you," she says. "A future built on substandard materials, falsified safety tests, and unacceptable risk. A future that would have destroyed this company and everything my father built." For the next 20 minutes, she lays it all out. She is methodical, precise, and relentless. She has her father's ledger. She has George Peterson's testimony. She has the metallurgical reports on the Meridian's components. She does not raise her voice. She simply presents the facts. The truth, Marcus sputters and denies. But his face is ashen. The board members, who had supported him, now look at him with cold fury. They are not immoral men. They are just men who were easily led by the promise of easy money. Now, they see the liability, the danger, the sheer stupidity of it. These are baseless accusations. Marcus finally explodes, finding his voice. "She's emotional. Grieving. She's in league with that washed-up mechanic who has a grudge against me." As if on cue, the boardroom doors open. Elias Vance walks in. He is wearing his clean work clothes. He does not look at the board. He does not look at Marcus. He looks only at Clara. He walks to the back of the room and stands there, his arms crossed, a silent, powerful presence. His being there is testimony enough. He is the truth made manifest. Clara looks at the board. "My father left me one final gift," she says. "He left me a choice, to follow the path of easy profits and deception, or to honor the principles on which he founded this company: integrity, quality, and innovation." She gestures to the screen behind her. An image appears. It is the Titan, resplendent, powerful, real. "This," she says, her voice ringing with a newfound authority, "is the future of Sterling Marine." The vote is unanimous. Marcus Thorne is removed as COO and escorted from the building by security. An internal investigation is launched. The Meridian project is scrapped. It is over. After the room is cleared, only Clara and Elias remain. The silence is heavy, but not uncomfortable. It is the quiet after a storm. They walk together, not speaking, down the long empty hallway and into the parking garage. The concrete space echoes with the sound of their footsteps. When they reach her car, she turns to him. "Thank you," she says. It is the same thing she said on the dock, but this time, the words have weight. They mean everything. He nods. "Your father would be proud of you today." "What will you do now?" she asks. "I'm going to go home," he says. Finish the calibrations on the Titan. He does not ask for a job. He does not ask for a title or a reward. He is going back to the work. It is all that has ever mattered. "Elias," she says, stopping him before he can turn to his old reliable truck parked a few spaces away. "I'm not filing the will. The shares. They are yours." "Lily's. It's what my father wanted." He shakes his head. "No, I told you, the company is yours, but I'll make you a deal." She waits. "You need a head of research and development," he says. "Someone to oversee the Titan production. Someone who answers only to you." He pauses. "The workshop is not for sale, but you can rent space in it. If you want my help, you come to me. We do it my way, on my terms." He is not asking to be brought into her world. He is inviting her into his. He is offering her a partnership, not employment, an alliance of equals. She feels a smile spread across her face. A real one. "I think I can agree to those terms," she says, clacks. He gives her that rare 2-second smile of his. He reaches into the pocket of his jacket and pulls something out. It is the small, pearlescent shell Lily found on the beach. He presses it into her hand. "A reminder," he says, "of what's real." He turns and walks to his truck without another word. Clara stands there, the cool, smooth shell in her palm, and watches him drive away. 3 months later, the Sterling Marine Titan engine is the star of the International Marine Exposition. It is a triumph. Orders are flooding in. The company's stock has never been higher. The future is secure. Clara Sterling is no longer the inheritor CEO. She is just a CEO. She has earned the title. She spends 3 days a week, not in her corner office, but in the workshop by the sea. She has a small desk in the corner next to Lily's crate. She learns. She listens. She contributes. The workshop is the beating heart of the new Sterling Marine. One Saturday afternoon they are celebrating. Not a contract or a stock price, but something more important. They have just successfully completed the first production model of the Titan. It sits on the test stand, purring with a deep, satisfying rumble. Elias is at the grill, the same one he cooked fish on weeks ago. Lily is drawing a picture of the engine, her brow furrowed in concentration. Clara is leaning against a workbench, a bottle of cold beer in her hand. The air smells of salt and charcoal. It is a good smell. "You're a man of many talents, Vance," she says, watching him flit burgers with the same precision he uses to set a piston. "CEO, master engineer, and now a grill master. Is there anything you can't do?" He glances at her, a glimmer of humor in his eyes. "I'm a terrible liar," he says, "and my handwriting is awful." She laughs, a genuine, relaxed sound. She walks over to him, standing beside him in the warm glow of the setting sun. They look out at the water, a comfortable silence settling between them. The engine hums its steady, powerful song behind them. Lily runs up and shows them her drawing. It is a surprisingly accurate depiction of the Titan, with 3 figures standing beside it. A tall man, a tall woman, and a small girl in the middle, holding both their hands. In the sky above them, she has drawn a smiling sun. Elias places his hand on his daughter's head. Clara rests her hand on Lily's other shoulder. For a moment, they are a perfect, still portrait. A family. Later, After Lily is asleep in the small room off the workshop, Elias and Clara stand by the open bay door. The night is clear, the sky brilliant with stars. The tide is coming in, a gentle rhythmic shushing on the shore. They stand near each other, not touching, but close enough to feel the warmth radiating from each other. They do not speak. They have said everything that needs to be said. The rest is here, in the quiet, in the shared space, in the low steady rumble of the engine that they build together. He does not need to tell her that he is building a life here, not just engines. She does not need to tell him that she has finally come home. They just stand, side by side, looking out at the endless, hopeful horizon.